Okay. So it seeks self-gratification to the exclusion of doctrinal principles or the laws of divine establishment. Sexual arrogance includes love as the motive for sex. For sexual arrogance divorces a person from this expression of love, honor, and integrity. And it is another step towards the drive to unreality. Yes, people do emphasize sex so much to the point of unreality. And then it leads to frustration. And then we have nymphomaniacs and all that type of stuff. Okay. There are 3 categories of sexual arrogance: normal, abnormal, and criminal. Now, what I mean by normal doesn't mean it's right. What I'm simply saying is that is one of those normal type of sins. And then once you get to the abnormal sins, which obviously, yes, can be worse in terms of your state in life, in terms of, and then there's also criminal sexual arrogances, criminal sexual sins. The normal sexual arrogance includes adultery and fornication. We separate these by saying that adultery is infidelity. While a person is married, he goes on and has a sexual intercourse with someone else who's not his wife. Vice versa, the wife goes on and has sex with someone who's not her husband. Fornication is sex before marriage, and youngsters are being encouraged to already try these things, and all these things do lead to scar tissue. When you give in to much sexual activity, illicit sexual activity, it builds scar tissue, and it prevents you from being able to enjoy your right man when he comes, or right woman. It prevents you from enjoying the normal beauties of the woman. Man, you do not even know what you want now. You've emphasized sex so much that you do not even know what you're supposed to be turned on by. There's so many beautiful things in the woman that you can easily be turned on by. But no, you decided to just emphasize and zoom in on one thing and this and that to the point that you cannot enjoy the whole panoramic view. See how doctrine needs to come and even renew your own turn-ons, the things that you're supposed to be turned on by? Yes, doctrine is even going to come and do that so you can perhaps enjoy your right woman when she comes, or enjoy the right woman who's already there that you cannot enjoy because of your distortion from your daily decisions in the cosmic system. So that's normal, adultery and fornication. Normal does not mean it's right. It just simply means that it's normal, and in contrast to abnormal, because once you continue and your frustration, you go, abnormal includes homosexuality, lesbianism, pederasty, necromancy, bestiality. If I missed any, then I'll put them in there. And yes, a lot of frustration comes and gives open way for these. Many frustrated wives give in to going on, or how about I'll sleep with my friends and these type of things, and it leads to more frustration. They might be happy for the moment because, clitoral orgasm, oh wow. But eventually leads to soul insatisfaction and a lot of frustration. You've opened way for more bad decisions. The more bad decisions you make in the cosmic system limits the availability for good decisions. You only open your way for more bad decisions. Good decisions for the divine power sphere opens way for more good decisions in the divine power sphere. Pederasty, necromancy, bestiality. Criminal sexual arrogance includes rape, pederasty, and I put pimp activity and prostitution because they are sexual sins and they do have to do with criminality. Alright, if I forgot something, I'll go over this in this area of sexual arrogance. It's because there's a lot to it, especially what's going on today. There was a time, and I'm not glorifying the past, but there was a time when people found hobbies. They found things to become busy, and things that they liked. It could have been a job or a hobby, and they focused on that, and I'm speaking humanly speaking. And they focused on that, and they made that, so to speak, their vocation. And while sex was secondary, that was an avocation. But now it's the opposite. Sex has become a vocation. It's number one thing, and everything else is just secondary. People do not really know how to do anything. Everything they do is related to sex. So just remember That sex is not that impressive. Oh yes, the sex that God gives you is impressive, but at the end of the day, when you know God, God is more impressive than anything else. God is more impressive than whatever blessing He gives you. The source of the blessing must always be more important than the blessing itself. You just have to have enough doctrine to the point that you become more impressed by God than the blessing itself. Well, we are easily impressed by sex. And people are easily impressed by sex, and God gets down to their level and calls them in the area of sex. Oh yeah, you think you know something, and either He'll punish you or He'll demonstrate something to you so as to call you to the gospel. Gate 5, criminal arrogance. We're making way now. Criminal arrogance. So, let me just emphasize that it does not begin with a genetic predisposition. And I know that in our genes there's this predisposition for a kleptomaniac and all these things, but I'm talking about those in the cosmic system that make their way there. And if you do have a genetic predisposition, and you're at the same time you're still in the cosmic system, well, with more reason you're going to fall for these types of arrogances. It is acquired. I'm not denying genetic predispositions, but I'm speaking about those who acquire these arrogances through daily decisions for the cosmic system. The criminal has remained inside the cosmic system and is self-righteous and very hypersensitive. Notice this is criminality. Many times it's immoral activity, and yet they're self-righteous. This is not that difficult to understand. Immoral people justify themselves, and they make themselves righteous in front of others so that they can cope with reality. Just look at mafia activity, look at criminals inside of jails. They have their own sins, the must not do's, and this person violated this, and oh, he did that, and now everyone joins the bandwagon and they go and rape him because he did the unpardonable sin according to them. They're making themselves feel righteous in front of those who violated those sins that are no-nos to them. Look at mafias. They're very self-right. They kill and they do these things, but they go on and feed the hungry, and to the point that people are saying, oh, look, this man feeds us. El Chapo ayuda al pueblo. El Chapo, yeah, helping out all these people, but at the same time, look at the terrible things he does. And they built up their own righteousness, self-righteousness, while at the same time they have their unpardonable sins. And whoever violates these unpardonable sins, they'll go and persecute you, and they'll kill you, and they'll do terrible things to you. Self-righteousness. They're very hypersensitive. The criminal is very, very hypersensitive. This is arrogance that he has. The criminal is anti-authority, anti-establishment, and many times anti-God. Arrogance causes the criminal to fall into inordinate ambition and inordinate competition. His arrogance is so great that it becomes very difficult to get out. This is why the death penalty was ordained by God in the Old Testament, and it's still available to any nation that follows the laws of divine establishment. The problem is that we're so full of our emotions, back in the 70s and during the Cold War era, we were so full of bleeding hearts that we wanted to we wanted to abolish the death penalty. The death penalty is very necessary, especially because this arrogance involves such a fixed in arrogance that it's hard to remove it in the criminals. Now, maybe the liberals say, let's bring in psychologists and help them and treat these criminals. Many times the criminals will outsmart the psychologist. The psychologist will be deceived into thinking that, oh, this criminal is making great progress. Remember that criminals have grown up to learn how to deceive people. Well, this is why the death penalty was ordained by God. There's no reason for us to have our prisons filled with murderers. If the investigation is done and you think that there's no further investigation as far as having more information in this other area, in this other case, this is a key person to finding out who is this other person. No, if it's done with, you execute these criminals. Execute the rapists, the pederasts. There's no reason for us to have prisons filled with these criminals. But now the bleeding hearts, the liberals, the emotional types always want to side with the criminals. What about the victim? What about the victim? Why don't you side with the victim for a bit? I'm one of those that's a little bit draconian, that when a criminal commits something, well, you execute them, and then you court him, you split his body, and you put it in public in that plaza to demonstrate this criminal who was a threat to society. Of course, he is already dead, so yes, you can do that and split his body once he's dead, not while he's alive. But this is the reason why we have so many criminals. They're not scared. All they do is they go to jail, they get free health care and free food. Well, where's the punishment there? All right. A criminal can be classified as a con artist, a pusher, a terrorist, a liar, a thief, a panderer. And if I missed one, you can put it in there. It could be petty little crimes. Christians do a lot of petty crimes, and they go to church the next day. And yes, it could fall into this, criminal arrogance. Or it could be big crimes, big organized crimes. It could also be related to religion and demon influence. Yes, there has been religious groups in the past that were criminals, such as the Sicari, from which we get Sicario from. The Sicari that made an oath that they would not eat until they killed Paul. Well, they did not kill Paul. I wonder if they continued not eating or if they died of hunger. I'm not sure. You have the Tugis, the thugs in India, who killed a lot in the name of Kali and all those goddesses. His sexual lust, so the criminal, his sexual lust activities turn into great crimes such as rape. So for the criminal, his sexual lust turns into crime, sex, such as rape. His lust for power turns into gang, mafia, cartel activity, organization. His lust for approbation and chemical lust also turn to power, gang, mafia, and cartel activity for it. And these organized crimes, you do have those power types and those approbation types. The power ones are the ones that want more power and who need those who want to be approved. And then you have those who want to be approved. Those just want to belong. I don't have a family, but this gang gives me a sense of family, a sense of belonging. Those approbation types. Those that want to feel like they're making something, like they're doing something. They're somebody. When you see these cartels record themselves, all these youngsters with their guns, and those chapitos or la malliza, and they're recording themselves. There they are, going on a mission and recording themselves as if they belong to something, as if they're somebody. Those are the approbation types. They feel approved. His money lust resorts to using illegal means to make profit. Then other lusts arise, such as cruelty lust. Criminals are cruel. The lust to hurt. Killer and torture lust. It does not just stop there. When you kill, you will kill more. Many people do. They remove any restriction and they just keep on going. This arrogance is vulnerable to psychopathic arrogance. Now we've arrived at Gate 6, psychopathic and psychotic arrogance. I'm going to define these up ahead, but just keep in mind that psychopath and the psychopathy and psychosis are not the same thing. They're used interchangeably. Everyone's using, oh, he's a psychopath. It's psychopathic. So we'll define these, but I put these two together, and this is not excluded to just psychopathy and psychosis. There's also neurosis. There's also bipolarism as well. There's schizophrenia here also. So many types. But I'm going to just go ahead and talk about the believer who makes many decisions in the cosmic system and reaches a point of being a psychopath or so much into unreality that he reaches psychosis.